As we all know, the World Cup is done and dusted. Argentina won the final, Messi finally got the World Cup trophy. So it's time to reflect on a great tournament. That's why in this video I will talk about the best 11 of the World Cup 2022 in Qatar. And I didn't pick this 11 myself, I went on who scored. I picked this 11 based on the ratings, the overall ratings across all games with a minimum of 3 appearances. So without further ado, let's get right into the video and see who made the best 11 of the World Cup. In goal we have Wojciech Szczesny, no Emiliano Martinez, no Lloris, but Wojciech Szczesny. Szczesny managed to get a 7.9 rating out of 10 of course. And it doesn't surprise me that Szczesny is very highly rated because he saved 2 penalties. He played a big role in Poland actually making it out of their group before they went out of the competition against France in the round of 16, which definitely wasn't a shame. But Szczesny played every single minute of all the 4 games he played, conceded 5 goals, kept 2 clean sheets, again saved some penalties here and there. The last couple of weeks before the tournament he didn't play a lot for Juventus because of an injury, but I'm pretty sure that Juventus can be happy because the way that he performed during the World Cup is definitely a great prospect for Juventus, because it looks like that their goalkeeper is fully ready for the second half of the season. Let's move on to the defense and start off with right back. And in this position we have Achraf Hakimi. A rating of 7 makes him the best right back of the entire tournament, as he managed to help his team Morocco all the way to the semi-finals, where they went out against France, and then the 3rd place game they lost out against Croatia as well. I'm not gonna lie, that 3rd place game Achraf Hakimi wasn't that great. He tried a lot of stuff, but it just wasn't his day. But I can definitely understand that Achraf Hakimi is in this 11 as the best right back of the tournament, because in real life I really think that Achraf Hakimi is definitely up there with the best defenders in the entire world. And from the top of my head I really can't think of a different player that would probably take Achraf Hakimi's place in this squad, so I feel like this one is spot on from who scored. It's time to move on to the center backs, and here are 2 players that actually surprised me. Not because they were bad, but just because their teams actually didn't really make it that far in the competition. That's not entirely true. England made it to the quarterfinals, and yes, you guys probably already guessed it, Harry Maguire is actually in this squad with a rating of 7.4. And I mean, Maguire didn't have a bad tournament. For some reason, when he puts on that Manchester United jersey, he isn't the best defender in the world. Far from it actually. Very far from it actually. But in the England squad, he is always very decent. And again, the stats show that he's actually pretty good for England. That actually tells me that in the England squad, he has the proper setup to utilize his qualities, because he always is pretty good for England. And at Manchester United, the structure for him is just not there. That's why a lot of times he looks pretty clumsy in defense for Manchester United. That's the only thing I can think of, because let's be honest, Harry Maguire isn't the worst defender in the world. But many people, and sometimes I do it as well, make him out to be a joke of a defender, but surely, of course, he isn't that. Of course, there are way worse defenders than Harry Maguire. And like I said, during the tournament he showed that he's actually a pretty solid center half. The player next to him is Rodri from Spain, also with a rating of 7.4. And I mean, I get it, Rodri was pretty solid for Spain. We all know that for Manchester City he normally plays in midfield, but Spain didn't really have a lot of defenders, and I also suspect that Luis Enrique was trying to break the record for playing with as many midfielders as possible, because at one point the whole midfield, the whole attack were filled with midfielders, and also in defense he tried to put players like Rodri there as well. But yeah, even though this tournament didn't really work out for Spain, Rodri definitely had a solid tournament, so yeah, he deserves to be in this 11. Next to him is somebody that made it to the final. Finally we're going to talk about a player that actually made it to the last game of the tournament, because Theo Hernandez is in left back with an average rating of 7.2. And again, I can't argue with who scored here, because I think that Theo Hernandez is one of the better left backs in the world. He consistently shows it for AC Milan, and it's crazy how much this guy actually contributes in terms of goals and assists. Not only for AC Milan, but for France as well. He scored in the semi-finals against Morocco. When you're a winger or when you're an attacker, you definitely don't have an easy day. When your direct opponent is Theo Hernandez, this guy is literally everywhere. Like I said, can't argue with who scored here. Theo Hernandez definitely deserves to be in this 11. In this squad, we're going to play with a 4-4-2 formation. So I'm going to start off with the right midfielder. And this player actually has the highest average rating of this entire 11, together with the player that we will talk about in the attack. If you already have an idea of who that player is, let me know in the comments down below. But first we're going to talk about Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes managed to get an average rating of 8.2. And even though Portugal were pretty disappointing during the World Cup, they went out in the quarterfinals, and yeah, I didn't really think that that was necessary. Bruno Fernandes still played a great tournament. He played in 4 games, scored twice and gave 3 assists. He was involved in 42% of the total goals scored by Portugal during the tournament. And attacking wise, I definitely think that Fernandes was one of the most important players for Portugal. With his creativity and also goal scoring threat, it makes sense that Bruno Fernandes gets a pretty high rating. I don't know, an 8.2 I think is a little bit outrageous, especially since this is the highest rating together with another player. And if you combine the tournaments of those two players, yeah, Bruno Fernandes is not even close. So nice for him, he definitely had a good tournament, but this rating I think is a little bit too high. But I do agree with the fact that he should be in this 11. Next to him we have two center midfielders. We're going to start off with the first one. It's the second English player in this 11. And also don't get your hopes up because it's the last one as well. But Jude Bellingham for sure has to be in this 11. Even though that England went out in the quarterfinals, Jude Bellingham was absolutely ridiculous. He took his insane form from Borussia Dortmund to the World Cup, played in every single game for England during the tournament, got 2 goal involvements in 5 games. But it's very difficult to point out what this guy does on the pitch only in stats. I've voiced my opinion on this guy many times on this channel, and I honestly think that he's a joy to watch. He played a great World Cup, and I know that before I said that you can't really express his qualities in terms of stats, but also that is not the case this season because he's scoring, he's giving a lot of assists, which is a whole different dimension he actually added to his game this season. So I'm definitely looking forward to see how he will do the second half of the season at Borussia Dortmund. Bellingham managed to get a 7.6 rating, which I think is definitely deserved. The next time we have Casemiro with an average rating of 7.5, 0.1 lower than Bellingham, but Casemiro again showed that he was very solid for Brazil during the tournament. He's never a player that makes the headlines, but he does so much on the pitch that helps his team a lot going forward. But to be fair, this is probably the first place in this 11 where I would have probably loved to see a different player. Maybe change the formation up a little bit, play with a number 10, put somebody in like McAllister who had a great tournament. Maybe Bukayo Saka, Cody Gakpo also deserves a shout. And of course Enzo Fernandez or Julian Alvarez also could have been in this position. Again, if you change the formation a little bit. But fine, who scored put Casemiro in this 11. So yeah, I'm afraid we just have to go with it. Now in left midfield we have Kylian Mbappe with an average rating of 8.0. Of course, how can you miss this guy out? 8 goals across the entire competition. 3 goals in the final alone, which still wasn't enough for France to actually win the thing. Because as we all know, Messi was destined to win it. Argentina won the final, but there's no denying that Mbappe had a great tournament, scored some unbelievable goals. And the thing that I think is absolutely insane about Mbappe is the fact that he turns up when it's needed the most. To be able to score 3 goals in the final when the pressure is sky high is truly ridiculous, so I will definitely take my hat off for Kylian. He was already well over 20 goal contributions in all competitions prior to the tournament, and expect Kylian to score at least another 20 in the second half of the season. The next player that we're going to talk about, of course, is Lionel Messi, the other player that stole the show in the World Cup final. Mbappe got an average rating of 8.0, while Lionel Messi got an 8.2 average rating from Who Scored, which again is the shared highest of this entire 11, and I think it's well deserved. Messi was truly ridiculous this tournament, scoring 7 times in all games, 2 in the final alone, and for sure Messi has to be the best player of this entire competition. And you guys probably already see it from the shirt. I'm genuinely happy that Messi finally got the World Cup trophy. This was the only thing missing in his trophy cabinet, and it's amazing to see a 35-year-old Messi show the world one more time that he's definitely the greatest player of all time, and he definitely stood up and helped Argentina to the World Cup trophy. Last player in this 11 comes from France. It's Antoine Griezmann, who has a 7.5 rating. Last seasons have been pretty tough for Griezmann. His time at Barcelona really wasn't that successful, then he returned to Atletico Madrid. So far that really hasn't been a success either, but this World Cup Deschamps put him in a role where he could actually excel. He's not the star player of France, that is Mbappe of course, but there's no denying that this guy has a lot of quality, and the way that he played for the team definitely helped France make it all the way to the final. Unfortunately for him, in the final it wasn't really his game, also because Argentina did their best to make it very difficult for Griezmann, which definitely worked. But yeah, it was good to see Antoine Griezmann again be important for France, and while not being the flashiest player with a lot of goals, creatively he was very important and definitely contributed a lot to France making it to the final. So guys, that's the video done. Let me know in the comments down below, do you agree with this 11? Like I said, it comes from Who Scored. I probably would have changed a few things here and there, but overall I think that this 11 makes sense. As always, like the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, click my finished end screen right now, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace!